So today, for Susan and me, it's a culmination of a plot that we started a year ago. We attended Matt's concert at the Arc. And on the drive home, we thought, golly, this would be a great December program, a sing along. So here we are, a year later. Our guest is Matt Watroba. Many of you know him as the voice of folk music. Got to hold this up here. Folk music in Michigan for his work with WDET, Michigan Detroit Public Radio, as producer and host of the Folks Life program and the nationally syndicated Sing Out radio magazine Folk Alley. Matt has come in contact with many aspects of folk music and culture. In 2019, Matt was introduced into the Folk DJ Hall of Fame at the Folk Alliance International Conference in Montreal. That same year, Matt, along with his longtime musical partner Robert Jones, co-founder of the Detroit nonprofit Common Chords. The purpose of Common Chords is to create connections through music and arts in order to bring us into a common understanding of one another. In researching for this introduction, I stumbled on a great story about Matt. When Pete Seeger was 89, Matt was invited to sit down for an interview. One of the things Pete told him about was that it was never his intention to put a song in people's ears, but rather to put the song on the tip of their tongue. That has been a driving force in Matt's music ever since. He is committed to inspiring the world to sing one venue at a time. Today, we are delighted that Matt will add Umrah to his long list of venues. On a personal note, Matt has promised that this experience today will help me overcome my lifelong trauma induced by Sister Mary Lucy, who in 8th grade, after the concert, she came up to me and said, "You're off key, mouth it." And Matt said he would do everything he could to get me singing today. Good luck, Matt.
Well, I guess I will dedicate my sing today to Sister Mary Lucy, who, with a lot of colleagues, brought that trauma on a lot of people. And one of the things that surprised me more than anything else as I began this work, inspired by Pete Seeger, as Pat said, to get people to sing, was just how much actual trauma is associated with that. How being told by a teacher or a parent or someone that you can't or shouldn't sing. Really, I've had people at my community sings, and I'll talk about those in a minute, come up to me afterwards and go, "This is the first time I've felt safe enough since I was 10 to sing. And I'm not a good singer." And I said, "Well, I don't use words like that. You know, it's not about being good or bad. We have science, folks." And I know there's a lot of people here who still believe in science. We have science that has shown us that singing, the act of singing, actually releases endorphins in our brain that heal us, that make us feel better. And which I think is fascinating. But what's really fascinating about that scientific study is that when we do it with other people in community, it can triple or quadruple the effects of that healing. Which is why we send singing into, convalescent centers and memory care units and all those places where, because something about the act of singing gets to us not here, but here. And I could tell you 100 stories about singing in memory care units where nurses would come up to me afterwards and say, Mr. Fitzgerald hasn't said a word since he's been here, and he sang every word to some song that I did, right? It's really astonishing. So I'm asking you to set everything you know about singing aside, like I'm no good at it or whatever, because we're not doing it for show. We're doing it for health. It makes us feel better. So if you want to, in this hour we have together, sing your heart out, which about half of you will want to do that, but there'll be another quarter of you who will be reluctant, and there'll be another quarter of you who will be downright terrified. Right? So those of that in the terrified category, even if we get you to hum along a little bit, right? Or just reserve it for the songs that maybe have meaning for you. But I want to just not talk about how this works. I want to actually demonstrate to you what I've discovered in the last 15 years of my career as a musician. And it really did, as Pat said, it started on a little meeting I had with the master of all this, Pete Seeger, who lived to be 93 years old. And I got to interview Pete on the banks of the Hudson River, where he had his home for so many years, a log cabin that he built with his wife Toshi, and had a nonprofit organization that did a replica of a 18th century boat, sailboat, that he sailed up and down the Hudson River, the dirtiest river in all of America, right? It's fed by New York City. And he sailed that sailboat up and down, stopping all along the way. And as people came out to hear him sing and to have, meal, they noticed how dirty their part of the river was. And after several years of sailing up and down the river, they cleaned the river to the point where you could fish and swim in it again. Right? That is like community action for real. And that was just from people looking and noticing and going, that's not okay. And so on that same river, Pete told me that getting people to sing was the most important work he did in his life. And I made the commitment to Pete on that day. I said, you know what? Nobody could carry on all the amazing work you've done, but I can carry on this little bit of it. And that's when I decided to start these community sings. Community Sings ours. I did one last night, just here in Ann Arbor, over on Airport Boulevard, at the Interfaith Council for Spiritual Growth. We do it on the second Wednesday of every month, and we sit in a circle of about 25 people, and from 7 o'clock to 8:30, we sing until we all feel better than we did when we got there. And before the pandemic, I had 5 or 6 of these going just in the Detroit area alone. So, enough talk about it. Let's give you an example, okay? This is something I learned from Pete, and this is going to be a very gentle way of introducing you to this idea of singing along. How many of you were actual teachers, professors here at U of M? Great. And others, people involved in the medical field and all different other, right? Perfect. So those of you who are teachers know, and those of you even who aren't teachers know, that you can't teach anything to anyone until they feel safe, right? So the first thing I establish when I have these community sings is I let them know that this is a safe place for us to sing. We're not recording it. We're not going to make, I'm not looking, this isn't The Voice or America's Got Talent. This is simply us unleashing the power of singing and the power of song. So I often begin my concerts with this little thing I learned from Pete. And it has a very familiar song, which comes from the Christian, from the Christian tradition. And if that's not part of your tradition, just think of it as a song. That's fine with me, because that's really all they are to me. They're just great songs that have become part of who we are. But this one is familiar enough that most of us know it no matter what tradition we come from. But it starts with a simple hum. So I want to see if I can get this room humming on a D note. Now I want you to just keep doing that. If you got to breathe at some point, I'm told, but just do it at a different time than the person sitting next to you. Just keep doing that as I talk. Now, the most important thing a singer can do is to breathe. So you want to make sure that every time you get a chance to breathe, you breathe from very low in your abdomen. So notice my chest doesn't puff out when I breathe. My stomach comes out because I'm getting it from we used to say sing from the diaphragm, but it occurred to me that nobody has ever seen their diaphragm, at least under good circumstances. So you want to sing or breathe low. Fill up the air. Just keep doing that. Some of you, I want to jump up to the next harmony note, which would be a third above that root, which is Now, if you have a higher voice, you can go up to keep going. At the count of 3, I'd like you to just open that up into a nice gentle ooh. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and ooh. Breathe when you need to. Ooh. When I raise my arms, make it louder. Ready? Ooh. Nice. Keep going. Ooh. Now this is what Pete showed me. We're going to sing the words to Amazing Grace, but really slowly. Sing with me. Ready? Amen. Breathe when you need to. Sing grace. How sweet. And you can find that harmony. Sweet. The sound. You gotta need that breath for the low notes. That saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Go back to ooh. Find that harmony, or ooh, ooh. Now, do you notice the energy transforms in the room when this happens? And I watched Pete do this at Hill Auditorium in front of about 3,000 people. And it was, you just can't go away from that experience the same. You feel connected in a way that I've found nothing else connects people like getting them to sing together. That's why through most of our history, we have used music in our everyday lives. It's only been since the last, 100 years or so where it's become a spectator sport. You ask the older people in your world, they'll say, yeah, we had songs for putting the babies to sleep and for doing dishes and for people transitioning into the next phase. We had songs for everything. And now we have songs for, the holidays and take me out to the ball game. That's about all. And some of those traditions are still very much alive in the South. So I'm finding myself all the time trying to think of what songs can we sing where, like that one, where everyone just seems to know it. It seems to be part of our DNA. Well, I got this job putting on an old pair of overalls and walking around Greenfield Village at the Henry Ford and just singing songs from the 19th century. Actually, I just wanted to find songs that everybody knew and everybody could sing. And this was a special challenge because all of you who know about the Henry Ford and Greenfield Village, it is a worldwide destination as a tourist place, right? So most of the folks who come to visit weren't even from America. They were from all over the world. So I had the extra challenge of trying to find a song or two that everyone would know no matter where they're from. I found 2 songs that worked every time. Anybody right now trying to guess what those songs might be? You think maybe it would be like Happy Birthday. But every culture has their own song for Happy Birthday, right? So they may not know the one that we know. But for some reason, and watch what happens when I start singing this. We know this song. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Now, before I started all this stuff, I was a high school teacher at Plymouth Canton High School for 12 years, from about 1990 to 2002. So I can say with authority, your performance on that song was a solid C-. Let's see if we can bump it up to a B+. You ready? You are my sunshine, my only sun. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. See if you know worse. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and let me hear you sing it out. You are my only, you make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Now, I don't know how good it sounds, but Patrick's singing over there, so we've accomplished our first goal. I love that song because so many people know it, and the reason we know it is because we taught it to our grandchildren. Your grandparents probably taught it to you. And one of the reasons I love these community sings is because it is capturing and saving songs from obscurity. Songs do not last on a library shelf. Songs were meant to be sung. And I often ask myself, as a kind of an expert in the world of folk music, why do we remember only a few songs and forget most of them? Well, the songs we remember, surprise, surprise, are the songs we keep singing. That's the reason why we know the Christmas carols, and that's the reason why we know those often religious sort of songs, is because we sing them every week. We stop singing them, they go away. If we don't teach You Are My Sunshine to the next generation, there's a good chance that song won't survive into the generation after that. And that really is what folk music is all about. It's what makes it different than other music, especially because, of course, Beethoven's Fifth has lasted a long time, but that was written down. These songs were never written down. They were transmitted orally. And what happens when we transmit things orally, at least in our culture, it's like that game of telephone. If I whisper something to him and he whispers it, by the time it gets to the end of the room, is it the same? Almost never, right? And that's what happens with our folk music through the centuries. The good songs last. Sometimes different verses are sung. Sometimes different verses are made up to fit whatever the circumstances are. But that was the first song. Now, that one didn't take me by surprise because we all know You Are My Sunshine. What surprised me is when I started singing this song, which isn't from the 18th or 19th century at all. It is, in fact, from the 20th century. but everybody from Africa to Iceland, whether they were 8 years old or 88 years old, knew this song. See if you do. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the sea, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. You guys not only knew the chorus to that song, but you knew the verse as well. And I put that in a really high key. Did you notice? And Pete Seeger actually told me, he said, if you want your audience to sing harmony, put it in an impossible key to sing, and then they'll have to try to find the harmony. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. I hear her voice in the morning hour, it's calling me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Riding down the road, I get the feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, let's go for an A, you ready? Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. Oh, take me home, country road. All right, good job, you guys. I find it fascinating that this has the power that it has. And already, I mean, if you just kind of did a quick body and mind check, you'd go, yeah, I am kind of feeling a little better right now. And it's because it's no joke. It really works. It works for me, and I do these all the time. Like last night, I was not in a great mood going into that sing. And by the time it was over, I was on a cloud. I felt great because it was not only the actual act of singing, but also the act of being in community with other people. That combination is what makes it amazing. And I heard some talk that maybe some of you were thinking about starting up a musical group out of your association here, which I think would be wonderful. You know, and even if you do, like, if it's a band-oriented thing where you're playing instruments, do that on one night of the month and have a sing on the other night where somebody who plays the piano can just grab one of those old books. It doesn't have to be folk music. You know, all those old Broadway songs are also on the chopping block if we don't keep singing them to people, right? And that's why I think, and, you know, absolutely, you'd be surprised. So the way this works is, I do these at libraries a lot. So the longest running community sing I've got going right now is in the Farmington area. And at the library, we have a community sing on the last Tuesday of every month, and that's been going on for almost 10 years. And we did it right through COVID, although we had to do it via Zoom, which was almost impossible because I don't know if you remember Zoom, you can't all do anything at the same time. It's all out of sync. So everybody that's the first time I ever in a million years thought I'd say, okay, now mute yourselves and sing. Little bit of a contradiction. But we have precedents in our history. And we probably have some ex-history professors here. And the truth is, this idea about singing together really became apparent in the late 1950s and early 1960s during the civil rights movement, where literally hundreds of these old spirituals had been repurposed to give folks something to sing together on the march and at rallies. Now, they picked those old spirituals because that was the music they all had in common. And so they could make slight changes to those things, but it wasn't any different than the civil rights movement that happened 100 years earlier with the Underground Railroad. Because those folks would also take those spirituals and they would sing those songs while they were working on the plantation. But what they would insert into those songs were messages about how to escape. And you can find dozens and dozens of examples of songs that do that. Well, it doesn't surprise me that 100 years later, they took a lot of those same songs and adapted them for the marches. And I'll give you an example. And this is a good example of a song that you don't even have to know the song to learn it. And I use a lot of these in my community sings. In the old African American church tradition, they would call that call and response, where the pastor would line out the line and then the congregation would sing it back to them. And so it's a very simple thing to catch on to. All you have to do is sing back to me what I sing to you. And if it helps, think about what these songs meant to these folks. They weren't just entertainment. They were a way of unifying in a very real way. People with a common cause on the right path. So let's try it. There's one line you'll have to learn, and I'll teach it to you. But other than that, just sing back to me what I sing to you. Here we go. I'm on my way, up to Canaan land. I'm on my way, up to Canaan land. I'm on my way, up to Canaan land. Here's the line you have to learn. It goes like this. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Try that. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Let's do it one more time. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my... Repeat after me. It's a mighty hard road, but I'm on my way. It's a mighty hard road, but I'm on my way. It's a mighty hard road, but I'm on my way. Ready? I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Do it again. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Well, if you won't go, don't you hinder me. Well, if you won't go, don't you hinder me. Well, if you won't go, don't you hinder me. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Paul and Silas were bound in jail, had nobody for to go their bail. I switch songs, right? You know that. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Here's the new chorus. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Try that. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. The only thing that we did wrong, staying in the wilderness too long. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Here's your chance. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. The only thing that we did right was the day we began to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Let me hear you now. Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. Patrick mentioned that I do a lot of work with the Reverend Robert Jones. Robert is a Black Baptist preacher He is the pastor of Sweet Kingdom Baptist Church on the east side of Detroit, in a neighborhood most of us wouldn't roll our windows down in. Robert has transformed that neighborhood into a community. And I've had the good fortune of meeting him when I worked for WDET public radio back in the 1980s and 90s. We did back-to-back radio shows, mine called Folks Like Us, his called Blues from the Lowlands. Some of you may remember. Well, Robert and I have traveled the country and continue to travel the country with a message about how we could either fight about our differences or we can celebrate our similarities. And we tell the story of American music as a way that has blended our cultures in numerous and joyful ways, so that when people ask me if this is one of those diversity tolerance programs, I often say I do not tolerate diversity. I tolerate back pain. I celebrate diversity, because without it, we wouldn't have the music we have in our country. It's as simple as that. It's just true. And it's really true, yeah. I don't want to burst your bubble, though, because after about a 13-hour car trip one time, my good friend Robert turned to me and he said, Matt, there's one kind of thing that makes our cultures a little different. And I said, just one? What are you thinking of? And he said, well, it's the way you guys sing. He goes, in my church, it's a little different than what I've noticed in your church. He said, you guys seem to have a real fixation on getting it right. That as if there may be a teacher looming over you with a ruler of some kind to make sure that you sang the right notes. Yeah. And he said, in our church, it's not like that. In our church, the history of our religion allows us to sing. When we sing from the deepest part of our being. And I said, I know, I've watched you preach and I've seen that happen, and it's amazing. And he said, so I want you to challenge your mostly white audience to see if they can sing like a Baptist. You guys want to sort of channel your inner Baptist right now? It will make Robert, so I'll call him on the way and tell him how we did. Assuming it's good news, we'll find out. And what does that mean? That means don't worry about the rhythm. Don't even worry about the words. Boy, folks in that church would even just moan what they were singing. They were singing about something real. They were singing about keeping the eye on the prize. Now, what's the prize? For them, it was freedom, right? Back then, during the civil rights movement, it was all about freedom. But have you noticed I haven't even said that word yet in that song, right? That hasn't come up, because what makes that song so universal is that we all have our own prize, that thing that we thought could never be attained, but through dedication and through work and through family and love, somehow we made it happen. That's what we're singing about. So I want you to let go of your inner Baptist. If it helps to close your eyes, it's a proven fact in community singing that when you close your eyes, no one can see you. Ready? Hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize, hold on. I got my hand on freedom's plow. Won't take nothing for my journey now. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Oh, let me hear you now. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold. Repeat after me. I'm on my way up to Canaan land. I'm on my way up to Canaan land. I'm on my way up to Canaan land. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Sing that. I'm on my way, glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my... One more time, watch me. I'm on my way. Glory, hallelujah, Lord, I'm on my way. Very good. Boy, that's great singing. I feel like I need to give you guys a break. So maybe I'll sing a couple songs that only require a little bit of sing-along. I had a request to do this as a song that, and even though it's so important that we keep these old songs going by singing them, I love this story. A friend of mine by the name of Mark Dvorak, a folk singer from Chicago, got to talk to Pete just a couple days before he died. And after he had finished whatever business he had with Pete, and Pete was really in demand, everybody wanted to talk to him knowing he was sick, and he was always very generous with a lot of folks. So at the end of their business, Mark said, I want to ask you just one more question, Pete. He said, what do you think is the best song to get people to sing? And Pete didn't even hesitate. He went, oh, I guess that would have to be Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Some of you remember that song, right? A banal little piece of folk music, right? Go tell Aunt Rhody, go tell Aunt Rhody. But see what happens? Pete and Mark said, why that song, Pete? He said, because people know it, it's simple, and they'll start singing it right away. And then he said, Mark, that is the sound of peace. And I thought to myself, that is the sound of peace. On the day after Thanksgiving last year, after the election, I at the last minute decided, rather than to do my regular annual show, which I do at the Ark in Ann Arbor, I decided instead to invite as many friends that I know who were musical to join me on stage the entire evening, and every song I would lead them and the audience in song after uplifting song. Because quite frankly, we needed it at that point. At least my community did, right? And it went so well. It was a bad weather, but we ended up still having a great crowd, and I had about 18 people in the choir. This year we did it again, and we had 28 people in the choir on stage, and about 180 people. And I had the songs coming at me from behind. I had the songs coming at me from there. And you know what? It was the sound of peace. Pete is absolutely right about that. Just heard this really wonderful podcast, a guest on a podcast. I think his name was Todd Rose. He's a sociologist out of Harvard. And they've been doing all this polling lately to sort of really find out just how divided we are as a country. He suspected maybe not as much as you would think by listening to social media and listening to the news and all that stuff. And so he, in fact, found out that really 80% of us share the same common values. Now, we may have different ways of thinking how we need to reach those things, but the truth is he found out that the sort of mob mentality was that if in order to associate with this group, we have to believe everything that group has to say, especially if they say it a lot over and over and over again, and if they say it really, really loud, right? So I found that to be very hopeful, because it's not my experience that even people who didn't vote like me, there's good people, most of them. Now, maybe that 20% isn't, but I can deal with the 80, right? And that prompted me to write this song. My friend Rick, we wouldn't agree on anything politically, but Rick, if my mom, who was very aged at the time, if her water heater went out in the middle of the night, Rick would be there to fix it for free. Now, I'm supposed to hate that guy? Right? And that's really what made me think of this song. I forget who asked me to do it, but I'll send it out to you. Could you love me if I don't look like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't look like you? Could you love me if I don't think like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't think like you? This life's a burning candle, and it would be shame if we ignored the difference between the smoke and the flame. Could you love me if I don't pray like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I see myself in you? Could you love me if I don't pray like you? This moment is a miracle, so why not find a way to be here and be grateful that we share another day? Could you love me if I don't love like you? Is it deeper? Is it stronger? Something hidden, something true. If I stare a little longer, will I find myself in you? Could you love me if I am not like you? Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, here's a Pete Seeger song you can sing the chorus to, but only if you feel it. And I'll do a couple more songs, then we're going to do just one last little big... one of the things lately I've been enjoying ending my concerts by doing it's kind of a stream of consciousness folk song sing-along. And I don't even know what song's going to be coming next, but each one of them I know you'll be able to sing with me. And so that's how we'll end. That's when you'll know it's over. Because in folk music, unlike rock music, we don't have like lasers and smoke coming out of the stage and, people dancing in cages. It's just a bunch of songs, and then one of them is the last one. And that's the case here. I had a request for a song from an album that I did celebrating the fact that we're all getting older. And this was a song all about being part of the RV community across the country. But I tell you the truth, I did that album so long ago, I don't remember that song, how to play it anymore. So I'll do another song from that same record, which was called The Best Is Yet to Be, which is based on the old Robert Browning poem that says, we all know the part that says, grow old along with me, the best is yet to be. The second half of that line is, the last of life for which the first was made, right? And to me, that's the important part of that line. So I decided, find as many songs as I could that put a positive spin on aging. And I found two. That's not true. I found a whole bunch. Because, let's consider the alternative, right? And so I called it The Best Is Yet to Be. And I had to put, even though this song is pretty tongue-in-cheek, I had to include it. It's a Pete Seeger song. Goes over real big at the old folks' homes when I sing it. And here's the chorus. It goes, how do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. Now you can sing any or all of that. Pete found that a little piece of writing on a napkin scrawled on in a diner in Wisconsin back in 1948. And he thought it was just a great little poem. Then he found out that that poem had existed as graffiti on bathroom walls in old folks' homes all across North America. Now, I used to teach American literature, so I can tell you that stuff you found scrawled on the walls of old folks' homes might be literature worth paying attention to. Might be some wisdom there. Let's try it. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin. Think of the places my get up has been. So Pete added some verses. Old age is golden, or so I've heard said. But I wonder each evening as I crawl into bed, with my ears in a drawer, my teeth in a cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up. As sleep dims my vision, I say to myself, is there anything else I should lay on the shelf? Though nations are warring and business is vexed, we'll still stick around to see what happens next. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go, has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin. Think of the places my get-up has been. When I was younger, my slippers were red. I could kick up my heels right over my head. When I was older, my slippers were blue, but still I could dance the whole night through. Now that I'm older, my slippers are black. I huff to the store and I puff my way back. And never you laugh, I don't mind at all. I'd rather be huffing than not puff at all. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin. Think of the places my get up has been. So the first time I ever sang this song was in an old folks home, which, shows you just even folk singers can live dangerously on the edge. But I looked around and I was pretty sure I could, take most of them anyway. I loved singing in these places, and one time I was in one of those places singing, actually getting ready to sing, and this lovely old woman kind of wheels up to me and she goes, "Excuse me, son." And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Could you tell me what we're having for lunch today?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am." I said, "Do you know who I am?" And she said, "No, but if you forgot, you can check at the front desk. They'll tell you there." Yeah. You may think that's funny now, folks. So I didn't want to sing this third verse, and then they made me sing it 4 times. So I thought, I'm in safe hands. If nothing else, let's hold on to our sense of humor. I wake up each morning and dust off my wits, open the paper and read the obits. If I'm not there, I know I'm not dead, so I eat a good breakfast and go back to bed. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to and think of the places my get up has been. So they don't have to be folk songs. I think all these songs are worth saving. I mean, I have a little 4-year-old granddaughter now, and her favorite song every time she gets in Pa's car is we sing, what do we sing? We sing, "When the red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing along." And she goes, and she wants Louis Armstrong's version of that song. Because, that's another song, if we keep passing it on, those old standards as well. So I'm going to sing this one, and then maybe we'll get to our medley of everything I didn't get to. We're going to sing this song for my dear friend Jim Martin. He was my high school psychology, sociology teacher, and that was a long time ago. And now he's one of my very best friends. We meet for lunch about every 2 weeks. And 2 years ago, he asked me and my wife Kim if we would come to the senior center where his mother, Iris, was turning 105 years old. And I said, of course, let's sing for Iris. And he warned me, Iris isn't really making a lot of connections anymore up in the brain. But she loves music. She's always loved music. So we said, sure, Jim, I love doing that. Actually, I do it all the time. So we came in and we set up a little circle with Iris and Paula and Jim and my wife and a few of Iris's friends and started singing songs. And at one point, even though Iris wasn't talking much, I started doing this song, and it was like the power of singing, the power of song. I watched her close her eyes and transform to wherever she was when this song was on the radio. And I could see the smile on her face. I don't know if she was at her senior prom, right? I don't know if she was in the back seat of a 53 Ford. I don't know. All I know is that when I sang this, it had an impact. Now, you might try to guess by these chords what the song is. But no, because in the 1950s and 60s, 127 songs had this particular I mean, it could be a million, right? It could blue moon. It could be that. It could be so many. Well, let's see what happens when we do this. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream when I want you in the arms, and I want you and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Dream, dream, dream when I feel blue in the night. In the night, and I'm to hold me tight. To hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Remember this part? I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die, that I could die. I love you, and that is why. And that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so. And that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, 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 dream. That is just to say that when you start your own community sing, I'll come and help you do it. But when you get it going on your own, all songs work. All songs that can be sung easily work, whether you have to teach them like I did with call and response, or if they're from the canon or from some songbook. We use a book called Rise Up Singing, which has about 1,200 well-known songs, all the lyrics. And I bring a bunch of those if you want to come and join us at the Center, Interfaith Center for Spiritual Growth. Those guys are so nice because I always make the joke that I've had 2 spiritual growths removed. No, that's not true. It's a beautiful little space. We just did it last night, and it was just so sweet. And we do that every second Wednesday of every month. So you could join us, see what it's like. It's a lot of fun. You can check out all the work that I do at my website, which is mattwatroba.net. I also recently, in the last couple of years, started a podcast that I'm very proud of on the history of folk music called No Root, No Fruit. A history of folk roots in Americana music, one record at a time. And each episode takes on one important record from the history, and I interview someone about it, and we go track by track, and it's really fascinating. If you want to come with me, I didn't bring any with me, but you could contact me. I just found out that I'm going to be leading a musical tour to the borderlands of Scotland next October. My wife and I, this will be, believe it or not, the first time I've ever crossed the ocean. So I won't be actually doing the tour guide. Somebody who knows about Scotland will do that. But I'll get you singing on the bus, that's for sure. And I'll be right there along the way. So if that's something you're interested, that's on the website as well. But I thought maybe we'd close things out, first of all, by thanking you so much for inviting me. I know the president had to leave. I would have... Thank you. I know the president had to leave. I'm sure there's some pressing issues right now in the news he's taking care of. Tough job there, I'll tell you. But I thought maybe the best way to end our time together would be by singing. Unless, before we do that, I will also be very happy to take any questions or anything. If anybody had anything burning they would like to ask me about this work, just raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Is there anybody? If not, we'll just sing. But yeah, is there a couple people? Can we do that? I should say that I'm happy to answer any question as long as you're not really picky about the answer.
I actually don't have a question. I just want to tell you all to go to the SIG table and sign up for our music SIG
Yes,
that's going on.
that.
Now that you're all singing, we know that you can participate.
I concur.
We do have a question. All right, over. Let me try to get over there.
Hello, hello. I love Pete Seeger. I also love Arlo Guthrie.
Arlo?
And I get confused between his son and him, or Woody Guthrie.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any songs of Woody Guthrie that you can recommend?
Oh, I could
Everything.
recommend them all. If you're not familiar, most of you know, of course, I'll do one in the medley for sure, the one we all know. But Woody, it turned out, had written over 2,000 songs in his lifetime before he succumbed to Huntington's chorea disease, which, thanks, by the way, to some folks at the University of Michigan, has all but figured out where that lay in the DNA and has done all kinds of amazing things to eradicate that disease. But it attacks the nervous system, and Woody, for the last 11 years of his life, laid in a hospital, totally aware on the inside, but unable to communicate, which is something that Woody did his whole life, of course. Well, after we figured out he had about 2,000 songs, we started unleashing, it's probably another 2,000 songs that he had written. He was an insatiable writer, and he would write anywhere he was. People are like taking wallpaper off old places where he stayed and finding new songs on the walls behind the wallpaper. And Woody would just constantly write. And Woody, of course, kind of championed himself as the voice of people in our culture who did not have their own voice, right? So he would literally travel the country by train, by hitchhiking, and he would meet these folks, and he would not just tell their story, but he would tell their stories through their songs, right? And so, of course, the most famous Woody Guthrie song is this one. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Now, Pete told me the story that him and Woody were on an airplane somewhere coming back to New York. And Woody looked down and started scribbling on a barf bag, because that's what Woody did. And what he was writing were the words to "This Land Is Your Land." I was at the Woody Guthrie Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I absolutely recommend. It shares the space with the Bob Dylan Center as well. And you're not allowed to go into the archives, but I talked my way in, and this woman was so nice. And she takes this thing off the shelf, and she brings it down, and she unwraps it. And it was the original, not the barf bag original, but one of the original lyrics to "This Land Is Your Land." Now, that song was not originally called "This Land Is Your Land." It was called "This Land Was Made for You and Me" with a question mark. Because the song "God Bless America" was really popular at this time when he wrote the song. And Woody liked that song, but he thought it didn't do enough. So the three verses that you are familiar with are the three verses that made it into the school book in New York City. And from that simple thing of putting that song in a school book, it went transmitted without internet, television, radio, all the way across the world. And the reason you all know that song now is because of that school book. And when Woody was dying, you brought up his son Arlo. He brought Arlo into the hospital room, and he said, there's three verses. He had three verses to that song that nobody ever sang. And those are the ones I'll sing for you right now, okay? It was unbelievable that Pete was banned from television because of the McCarthy era. You know, he was read, in fact, had to testify. Fascinating stuff to read about Pete didn't plead the Fifth Amendment. He pleaded the First Amendment. So we all know it. Let's sing it. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Here's the 3 verses we don't hear. He sang. One bright sunny morning, in the shadow of a steeple, by the relief office, I saw my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there wondering. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. So I'm not good with years. When was Barack Obama's first inauguration? Was that 2008 or 4? 8. So in 2008, if some of you remember watching that inauguration, a guy who was never allowed on television, Pete Seeger, came out with Bruce Springsteen, and they sang this song at Barack Obama's. And when Pete sang this verse, I swear he looked right into the camera and winked at me. I don't know. But he sang, as I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Now, instead of the big medley, I think, because I don't want your food to get cold, we'll sing this chorus 1 or 2 more times. And again, I want to thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. I've had an absolute blast singing for you. And if you've enjoyed it, sing along. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Oh, this land was made for you. Well, one more time. Oh, this land was made for you and me. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Patrick. What a blast. Thanks, guys.